In January 1945, just months before the end of the Second World War, a specialized imperial horse-drawn carriage moved through the streets of Tokyo. The Emperor of Japan had dispatched it to transport a single deceased passenger. This was an unusual level of state recognition for a foreigner. Emperor Hirohito further honored the man's memory by posthumously awarding him the Second Order of Merit of the Rising Sun. The recipient was Rash Behari Bose, an Indian revolutionary. His story belongs to a faction of the independence movement that doesn't appear in the peaceful marches or sit-ins often taught in standard history books. Bose did not believe the British would be moved by moral appeals. Instead, he spent his life building a transnational military alliance designed to dismantle the empire from the outside. To understand why an Indian student from 1880s Bengal ended up receiving the highest honors of the Japanese emperor, we have to trace the specific intellectual logic that led him to the battlefield. Bose grew up in Chandernagore, a rare pocket of Bengal that was under French rule rather than British. This meant his early education was shaped by a completely different colonial perspective. At Dupleix College, he became fascinated by the 1789 French Revolution. While his peers focused on their exams, Bose spent his time studying how a disorganized populace had successfully toppled an absolute monarchy through revolt. He grounded these European ideas in local radical literature. He studied the novel Ananda Mat, which framed the struggle against foreign rule as a sacred mission, and read the patriotic poetry of Navin Sen. These texts were reinforced by the nationalistic speeches of Swami Vivekananda, who called for a more assertive, physically strong Indian identity to challenge foreign dominance. His teacher, Charu Chand, helped Bose connect these disparate influences. Chand was a radical thinker who argued that if the French Revolution proved that force could break an empire, then India's situation required a similar application of physical resistance. By combining the tactical lessons of French history with the moral weight of Indian literature, Bose arrived at a new conclusion. For him, the daydream of independence was no longer a matter of debate. It was a tactical problem that could only be solved with force. The 1905 partition of Bengal provided the catalyst. The British decision to divide the province sparked massive public outrage, and for Bose, it was the final proof that the colonial government would never yield to peaceful requests. He moved from theory to action. He concluded that if the British wouldn't listen to poetry, they would have to be forced to listen to the sound of revolutionary action. He needed a cover to move undetected. He took a job as a clerk at the Forest Research Institute in Dehradun, using the quiet, bureaucratic position to mask his true intentions. Under the guidance of leader Jatin Banerjee, Bose used this office job to build a secret network of radicals, slowly acquiring the means to strike at the highest levels of the British administration. On December 23, 1912, that network struck. During a massive state procession in Delhi, Bose's team threw a bomb at the Viceroy of India, Lord Hardinge, targeting the most visible representative of British power. The Viceroy survived the blast, but Bose successfully evaded capture, disappearing into the crowd and becoming one of the most wanted fugitives in the empire. The bombing made Bose a high-priority target for colonial police, making it nearly impossible to coordinate a massive uprising from within India. He realized that to build a military force capable of actually defeating the British, he would have to move his base of operations outside their reach. He fled to Japan, where he adapted, learning the language and working as a journalist. He used his writing to explain India's perspective, making the case that a free India was in Japan's own strategic interest. He spent years networking with high-level Japanese officials and intellectuals, eventually securing the state backing he needed to move from writing to military organization. This diplomacy resulted in the founding of the Indian Independence League. More importantly, it provided the foundation for the Azad Hind Fauj, an army of thousands of Indian soldiers dedicated to a military invasion of British India. Bose died in Tokyo in January 1945, just months before the end of the war. He never lived to see the British leave India, nor did he see the eventual independence he had spent decades planning. Rash Behari Bose's legacy shows the result of pairing deep intellectual conviction with global strategy. By moving the struggle beyond India's borders, he forced the British to defend their colonial hold, not just against protesters in the streets, but against a foreign-backed military campaign on an international front.